Is it on? Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode on the Common Hour podcast. Here with me today is Miss Zofin. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Okay. I teach sociology and humanities at AUBH.
Okay.
Do I need to say what AUBH is?
No, you don't. No.
Do I need to say the acronym?
No, it's just, so they know, like, a bit about you.
Okay. I'm from Canada. And, this is my second year at AUBH.
It's your second year in Bahrain as well, right?
No, actually, I've been in Bahrain before. And I was born in Sharjah.
Oh, what?
Yeah, I was born in Sharjah. And then I spent some years in Bahrain when I was very, very young. Then I left and I moved to Canada. Well, I was in Canada, and then I was in the States and then Japan. I backpacked for a few years in the middle.
Oh, okay.
And I lived in the States, and now I'm here.
Nice. Okay, well, I didn't know any of that.
Yeah.
Well, now we do.
That's what the intro's for, right?
That's true.
So there you go. There's your intro. All right.
So my first question for you...
Wait, you didn't introduce yourself. Did you say your name?
Do I need to?
I mean, I feel like...
Okay, well, I'm Tamara, your host for today.
Yeah, and I'm Zofin, and we have Yasmin over there in the room, but you can't see her. That's all right. She doesn't want to be seen, I think. And Karina, who also is not seen. They're both here, too.
My crew, my amazing crew.
Yeah. Everybody's in black, so.
We're always in black.
Oh.
It's a weird, I don't know why. We're just, every day we're always in black.
Every day.
Yeah.
It's a morning of childhood, perhaps.
Like, okay.
I mean, you said you're always in black. I'm the only person here not completely in black, it would seem. Okay.
But that's good because you're the guest. You need to stand out.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've already taken off the rails from tomorrow, so we're going to give it back to her tomorrow.
So why did you choose to study sociology?
I was thinking about this question. When I decided to go to college, I was actually going to study English and history.
Okay.
And I've lived in a lot of countries, as I've said, and I love to travel and backpack a lot. And when I was the summer between me finishing high school and me starting college, I went to Brazil and I went to the Caribbean.
Okay.
So I was in Barbados and I was in Dominica. It was really, really beautiful, actually. And I went festival chasing. There's harvest festivals, and you can basically follow the harvest festivals on the islands. So I think that when I got to college, I remember I took a sociology class for fun, and it was so interesting. It was like the intersection of history and sort of like culture, and that when you really start thinking about history, but then you also think of the way that the world is now.
Yeah.
And then you're interested because when you travel a lot, or when I was younger and I would travel more, in fact, before I was working, when I had the time. But I think that was really interesting to me. So it's not only the culture that is now, which is different everywhere, and interesting in and of itself, but also how did we get to all these different places in the world? And then I went back to history class and was like, I don't want to do this. I want to do this other thing where you get to think about history, but then you also get to think about
the world
and culture and how we become the ways that we are, the way that our identities are formed, and how that changes over time, and how that is specifically connected to where we were born and how we were raised, and that's fascinating.
Yeah.
And then the other thing was, then I went to graduate school. So then between the two things, so between undergrad and graduate school, I lived in Japan, which I think even more opened this up for me. And then I went to graduate school, and I sociology, obviously, but then some political science as well.
Okay.
And then there's the mix of philosophy in there. I really always enjoyed that, the thinking about the ways that the world the way that we are so informed by the world, and then the ways that we are individual within that. And I always really enjoyed that sort of dichotomy of thought. I don't know how. Anyway, so I ended up doing sociology. Okay, so I guess that's the final end to my answer. But
Okay.
yeah, and then I ended up doing sociology. I actually did religious studies as well.
Okay.
For my undergrad, and that was fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
You end up studying a lot of world religions, and I really enjoyed that. I think that's very similar in a lot of ways, because you look at culture and you look at all the different ways that people are around the world. Yeah, so that is why I chose to study sociology.
Okay, I love that.
Yeah,
Is there a particular study you want to conduct now?
That's hard. It's hard. So, I feel blessed that I work in academia and that I work with all of you guys. For our viewers / listeners, Tamara, Karina, and Yasmin were in my class. But it's you're so young, and I know you don't think of yourselves as very young. I know you're all adults.
Not really.
I promise. But you're so young, and you're being formed, and I feel blessed to be around that every day. I think it keeps me young. I hope. I should say I hope. I hope it keeps me young. But also that I get to see how the interactions are between people now. I think if I wasn't working in academia, I wouldn't have a front row seat to the ways that technology, or the ways that people of a younger generation use technology, the ways that technology is changing your life, the way that AI has completely taken over the educational market, these kinds of things. And when I'm around my friends who are older or my age, and and they don't work in academia, their conversations around it are completely different. And there's so much fear-mongering in the world now. Oh my God, technology has come and the new generation it's all over for us now. And obviously, that started with the jukebox in the 1950s and 60s. Like, people were worried when they put jukeboxes in restaurants. Dancing will take over and then no one will study ever again or something. Yes, it's a...
Is that real?
It is real. I don't know what study I would like to do specifically, but I do know that I would be interested in having more conversations with people, with my students. I mean, I've talked to my students about this. I'd love to have more conversations about how you guys feel, about how you feel about where we are in the world now. I mean, we've left you a world with lots of technology, lots of climate change, and all of the things that are coming.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I recognize that people say it's the youth, but we left you this world. We created the technology that you're all using.
Yeah, I mean, you could ask.
Yeah.
This camera isn't working. It's saying that
No, I know where we were.
Okay, good.
Okay.
I think I was talking about talking to students.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you wanted to ask me that, as somebody in this new generation, as to, how I feel about it. You know what I mean? About the technology and stuff.
Yes. I think... Oh, sorry. Did you want me to ask you?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, there was a little bit more to that.
Okay, go ahead.
But, no, absolutely. How do you feel about... Actually, I don't know. I mean, I'd have to formulate it, because it's more than that, I think, for me. When I'm sorry, I realized I was going to ask you a question. I would now totally not asked you a question. So, Zofin, what's happening here? But it's part of this world we live in where I feel like there's so much more that, and I mean I might be wrong. This might just be me being older looking at a younger generation, but there's so much more that I think young people have to contend with nowadays, because it's not only your actual physical self in the real world.
Yeah.
Even though it doesn't even, now that I say that, like, is there a difference really between your online personas and, I mean, I know there is, but sort of like, why do we do the disconnect anymore between the real world and not the real world, when so much of that is like what makes you, So I guess the question would be, is there a difference? Isn't both sides of that you in some sense? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, I guess, like, for me, like, I've been on social media for quite a while, and I've, like, I've been in it, I've been out of it. Like, I stopped posting, and then I would post a lot, and then I would come onto, like, podcasting, and then my music, and, all that stuff. But I think each one is a different character. So when I write my music and I put my music out there, it's more of, like, definitely, like, a more private side, because it's a very intimate side of me, like my subconscious and writing my songs and stuff, where podcasting is more of the intelligent side, where people can see that, like, oh, she can have a conversation, you know what I mean, behind all those pictures and stuff,
Right.
But I do think, like, Instagram and TikTok is something purely entertainment. Like, I don't think it is ever anything personal.
So, but I guess my question would be, when you look at all the different roles that one plays in life, I'm not me, so to say, in a classroom.
Yeah.
I'm me, and I try to be very honest with my students. I think most of my students know that about me. Of course,
yeah.
But that is a role I play, just like daughter is a role I play, or friend, or whatever else have you. So if we were to have a conversation about the roles that you have on TikTok or Instagram or through your music as an artist, versus podcaster, which also I believe would come under the umbrella of artist, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Right?
I guess so.
Wouldn't that all just be what makes you you?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So there isn't a inauthentic self necessarily. So is the Tamara that goes on Instagram or TikTok less authentic than the Tamara who's the artist? Is one more authentic? Is it not just different things that we are then talking about within the role structure that you are choosing for yourself?
I mean, I want to say yes, because I know what I put out there. You know what I mean? But there are people who aren't themselves when they post and when they add things out there. You know what I mean? Like for me, like, when I'm out and I'm doing things, and sure, I'll get some pictures here and there, but there are some people who would just dress up to take pictures, and it's not them at all. Like, people would see them in real life and they'd be like, but you're not as happy or as, preppy as your Instagram. Like, or they're completely different people on social media compared to in real life. You know what I mean?
No, I understand that. And I guess this is just, because now we're in a thought conversation, right? We're just talking about it. And I think, so it's sort of the filter idea, right? If you use a filter on Instagram, then you're not authentically yourself, let's say.
Okay.
If you said that, right?
Yeah.
But then on some level, what's the difference between using a filter and wearing makeup? I don't know how to answer that. I'm not saying that I have an answer for it. I'm saying these are interesting things to me.
I think it's more of like, so when I used filters on Snapchat and stuff, I think it would more be something about insecurity. You know what I mean? Like, when I was a teenager, I suffered from acne. So I couldn't be taking, like, full pictures of my face and sending them to my friends, so I'd use a filter.
But, like, is that different from makeup?
I
Are we not just like
no,
fast forwarding?
I don't think so. I mean, I want to say no.
I don't know.
Because I did hide my acne
With makeup.
With makeup.
I'm so curious. You know, I don't have social media. I know that I'm an outlier this way. And there is a part of me that it's been so long. I've never had anything, right? Like,
okay.
I don't know, like how far back do you want to go? Sort of MySpace to the dinosaur ages, right?
What was MySpace like?
No, I've never had anything.
No?
I've never had anything. No MySpace, no Facebook, nothing. And
okay.
It's sort of, and I know that this is a detriment of mine, you know, like that I am one of those people that's really stubborn. So it's like, well, I've never had it, now I'm not giving in to it, you know, type idea.
Yeah.
But I'm curious. I'm curious about what especially when you're younger, what your lives are like. I'm gonna guess. I'm not gonna say your age. I don't, you know.
No,
I
it's fine.
To. Okay, so you're almost 24.
Yeah.
So you have had a smartphone basically your entire life since you could have a phone.
No. I wasn't allowed.
You weren't allowed, but you could have.
See, I don't know, actually, when I was, I think in 4th grade was when the first iPhones came out, right? We were like, how old were we? 7, 8, 9? Something like that.
I guess they're not allowed to speak.
And I remember everyone around me, actually it was BlackBerry. So everyone had a BlackBerry.
That's very Canadian of you.
And I love BlackBerry. Like if I could replace my iPhone with a BlackBerry, I could.
Okay.
I would.
I think that I'm not sure if the company's around anymore. Is it?
No, they're not, actually. But I think some people have like, you know, like unopened BlackBerries. My dad's one of them, but it's fine. But anyways, and then I think I was in middle school when I got my first. Well, it wasn't even an iPhone. I had a Samsung.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not a smartphone, I suppose.
It was a smartphone, yeah. But I didn't know what to do with it. Like my friends were very limited, you know what I mean? So like we would see each other physically. So it wouldn't be like calling and messaging all the time. It was very old. It was kind of old school, I want to say, you know, where they'd come up to my house and knock on my door and be like, "Do you want to hang out?" And
this is nice.
I
That sounds
love
lovely.
that.
Yeah.
I know.
I think Instagram starts in 2004. Is that right? So, I mean, you're 14.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
It's a long time ago. No.
Oh my God. I thought it was like much later.
No, Instagram's been around for a long time now. Well, long time, 10 years. It's like a blip in the bucket, really. But
okay.
yeah, I guess to go back to the question you asked about the study, I don't know. I think I'd just like to have more and more conversations with people.
Yeah.
I'm endlessly fascinated by things.
Yeah.
You know, and even something as simple as I had a student the other day who he watches, he always has his computer open during class. And I'm so curious because I'm like, is he really here? Is he doing something else? What's happening here? And there are times where I will sit in the back or move myself around class, you know, because I'm normally on my feet. And I noticed he was watching on site, like on mute, he was watching carpets be cleaned. Like, you can't even see a person. Like, you just see the carpets, and the carpet is dirty, and then it gets clean. Like, I mean, that is what it was. And it's videos. It's like this ongoing litany of carpet cleaning, you know? And I was fascinated by this. But then I had a conversation with him about it. And he said it helps him focus.
I was going to say.
Yeah. And, you know, to be honest, when I was a student, I don't think I would have ever imagined that. Imagined getting to a place where, but it makes so much sense to me.
Yeah.
You know?
There's a fun fact, actually. A lot of people nowadays, after TikTok, can't watch a full movie because their attention span is so short because of how quick TikToks are. So nobody can really sit there and watch a movie anymore for like 2-3 hours. Like, you'll be like, oh my God, like this is going on forever.
There's actually some neurologists who've been talking about that. And what they're saying is that we are in the process of perhaps rewiring our brains. So
good or bad?
it's very so that's where I come down on this. Is like I don't want to say that something is good or bad because it is, right? And maybe the way that we process information is changing.
Yeah.
I love to read books. I was looking at that because what you're saying about movies.
Yeah.
I used to be able to sit down and read an entire book, cover to cover, like on the weekend, wake up in the morning, have a cup of coffee, sit out in my garden, read a book. And honestly, I loved it. And I've noticed that over time, it is harder for me to sit down and read a book cover to cover.
Yeah.
And that's that was scary to me, you know? And I'm sort of like, no, now, today you will do it. You will read this book, you know? Or whatever else, I guess, might come. It's just, that's the movie idea.
Yeah.
You know? I think that we're changing. And
I
change
think
can be good. We don't want to stagnate. I don't know where we come down on this.
But it's definitely more like there's so much more technology involved. Like I can't imagine like for like even like my dad's generation going from like barely any technology to like all of this, where his youngest daughter is 20, his youngest child is 23, and I'm living behind cameras and mics and cameras and, you know, like tech. It's so weird to think about. And then I'd be talking to him about something, and he's like, I have no idea what that is. Like, I literally brought him boba tea yesterday, and he was like, what is this? You know, what is this invention? And I'm like,
did he like it?
He was shocked. He didn't know what was happening.
Boba tea is just tea with tapioca in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
He was confused. He was so confused.
But see, you know, we have this, we catastrophize, right, as human beings. I think there is an element of that. And isn't it amazing that you can go get boba tea? Oh, I'm out.
Oh, my camera? You can continue.
Oh, it's so amazing that you can go get boba tea now.
Yeah.
Here in Bahrain. We're in Bahrain.
Yeah.
And I can wake up tomorrow and say to myself, I really want to eat, I don't know, anything. And I can get it.
Yeah.
So are there elements of sort of this connection of the world that are great? Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why I don't know. There's always been, and that's when, you know, to go back to the jukebox.
Yeah.
People were so worried about the jukebox.
Yeah.
And I think the jukebox ended up okay.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
And time will tell.
Yeah. But I mean, like, the evolution of technology is never going to end.
It's never going to end.
It's never going to end.
And then where do we say we're going to go? Maybe to the singularity.
What?
One can only hope, right? The singularity.
What is that?
The singularity is this idea that we will eventually come to a place where we can live with our consciousness sort of forever outside of our bodies. It's a very sort of dystopian Black Mirror idea. Yeah.
It's cool to think about, but I don't think I'd want to be.
I don't think I'd want to do that.
No way.
No.
Like, maybe record my dreams and stuff, sure, but like not like.
I'll buy you a notebook tomorrow. And a pencil. You can leave it by your bedside.
No, but you ever want to go back and just see like what happened?
Sometimes.
Okay.
I have hectic dreams.
Okay.
Aliens. Whole
Same.
9 yards sometimes. Yeah.
The faceless man.
No, thank God.
Oh, okay. So my next question is, who do you consider to be some of the most interesting thinkers in sociology, and why? Or you can like rephrase that question.
No.
Like.
So I think recently I've been thinking a lot about Marshall McLuhan. You know, Marshall McLuhan was a sociologist, and he wrote in the 1960s, you know, this phrase that has become, or he had this concept, and I think it's so important to where we are now, which is the medium is the message. You know, and so like, for example, if you think about the invention of the light bulb, which is such a simple thing, and the light bulb has no content to it, right? But so if we have a light bulb and we think about the ways in which the light bulb changed our world, it wasn't only that we could read more, because we could read in the daylight.
Yeah.
It was also that it changed the way that we could be in the world during the 24 hours that we had. And all of a sudden, we've opened up this completely different life, of things that you can do at night.
Yeah.
And that allowed for a change in the world that has nothing to do with content.
Mm-hmm.
And so when he was talking about the medium as the message, I think about this a lot with what we're talking about with like TikTok and Instagram, which is TikTok and Instagram, the content is maybe very specific, but also the way that the medium interacts with you is so different from the way that we've enjoyed entertainment or content before, that it's changing things. It's changing focus. It's changing the way that we choose to show ourselves. It's changing the way that I interact with the world or that you interact with the world. And eventually, I imagine for people even younger than you, I don't know, for your younger siblings and things, it will be so interesting to see what kind of interaction they really have with things, because it isn't just content that changes us, but the way the content is delivered makes such a difference. So he is a thinker that I find really interesting. And I guess another thinker that I've been thinking about a lot is Arlie Hochschild. She's, there aren't a lot of female sociologists that are talked and about a lot. And she writes about the sociology of emotions and this idea that we are commodifying emotions in some service industries. So the way that if you're on a plane, for example, a flight attendant has to be on, there's this emotional aspect to their job, and really what we're doing is we're expecting them, we're paying them for their emotional content, and that can lead to like huge problems for them, right, emotionally, because it means that they can really be so tired or drained, and when they then are in the rest of their world, how do they emote and what that looks like. And I think that that's really fascinating.
Yeah.
So
it's a very specific persona.
Yeah.
Like, that they filter out. My mom always used to say, like, if you're afraid, because I'm like afraid of flying, and she was like, if something's wrong, like, just look at the flight attendant. If they're freaking out, then you can freak out.
Yeah, fair enough.
You know what I mean?
I don't think I've ever seen a flight attendant freak out.
No. And thankfully, thank God.
I think it's also part of just the way that people have to be now. I don't know, this idea that you have a life on Instagram or to be really old school about it, Facebook. That's in which you're always happy.
Yeah.
And then is there a drive in your life to always be happy? I don't know. Is there a drive to look a certain way to a certain group of people,
Yeah. I mean, the answer is yes, for sure.
And then that is you having to control your emotions,
Yeah. Yeah.
in specific ways.
Mm-hmm.
And so, when did we, or I guess, okay, here's a question for you. So then, have we lost the ability to show grief or anger in public?
For sure.
And that's...
For sure.
That's so interesting, isn't it?
It's horrible in a way. You know what I mean? Because, like, you want to be you all the time. And, like, let's say, like, on social media, like, if I would be posting, like, quotes about somebody, or, like, obviously it's targeted at them, but, like, my 1,000 followers would be seeing all of this. And one of many would be like, Tamara, are you okay? Like, stop posting this stuff. Like, you know what I mean? And I'm like, well, who am I going to say this to? You know what I mean? So, yeah, I know that is true. Like, beauty and perfection is definitely something that's ruined social media. And something I can't stand, honestly, is seeing, like, on TikTok. You obviously would hate this. But, like, little girls that are, like, I don't even know, like, I want to say 6. I don't even know what age they are, to be honest. But they'd be like, get ready with me for school, and they'd put on a full face of makeup and hair and outfits, you know what I mean? And I'm like, when I was 6, like I was wearing like the flashiest outfit, and like my hair would just be braided, and I'd run outside with no shoes, and somebody'd have to chase me like, why are your shoes? You know what I mean? And I'm like, I wasn't allowed to touch makeup until I was like not even in middle school. Do you know what I mean? So when I see that now, I'm like, where is your mom? Like, where is she? You know?
Right. Well, I mean, authenticity, maybe. I don't know. But then that is where we are, right?
It's scary. That's scary.
When I was 6, I really wanted MC Hammer pants. You don't know what those are?
No.
But you should look them up.
Okay.
So
Make a note of that. Okay. Yeah, no, I think our generation, like 2001 and 2002, were kind of the last to experience like kind of like no social media for a while, like until we hit like 13, 14.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we were the last to kind of get that childhood build.
But again, I don't want to catastrophize it.
Yeah.
This is where we are, and I think if nothing else, human beings are resilient, and we're smart, and we're flawed, and that's okay.
Yeah, no, for sure.
You know, so I'm curious. I'm curious to see
Yeah.
where it goes, and is that bad? I'm not sure. I mean, it's fascinating to see.
Yeah.
And I think there will be a lot of good that comes out of it.
Yeah.
You know, like we definitely are in a world where more people are in contact with each other, and it's like the boba tea.
It's nice though. It's nice.
It is. It's everything.
Yeah.
There is nothing in the world that is all good or all bad.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I was thinking, I'm like, there are so many times where like I wish I had two pen pals when I was like a kid.
Like actually writing.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm impressed. I'm gonna
I
say
know.
that's surprising. Okay.
So like I did experience those. You know what I mean? Where I didn't have
Where were your pen pals?
Ireland.
Okay.
Ireland,
and they
yeah.
weren't people that you ever met.
No, they were, but I didn't have a phone, so I would just be writing letters. So I'd call them my pen pals.
Oh, I miss her. You know, I write letters sometimes.
I love a good letter.
Or a postcard even.
Yeah.
I'll send a postcard.
You know what I mean? Like when I was in Spain this year, I met these guys, and they were showing me around Spain and stuff, and they gave me a postcard, and I was like, whoa. I'm like, I never thought I would be given a postcard. He's like, so you remember Spain? And I'm like, okay, like I'm gonna keep this forever. You know what I mean?
So they gave you one. They didn't mail it to you.
No. And then they were like, mail it back, and I was like, oh, that's what I do with this.
Yes, that's what you do with. Well, maybe you could send them a postcard with a Bahrain picture. On
Yeah.
It, like the true life or something.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
For
I think that
sure.
would be really nice.
Yeah. So it's interesting where social media has taken us.
But in terms of, I guess, the thinkers, those are probably the two that I've been reading recently.
Okay.
I think there's so many interesting thinkers, honestly.
No, there
Not
is.
just in sociology, you know?
For sure.
In all of the, I'm going to be honest, I haven't done a lot of reading in multimedia, for example.
Okay.
But I bet that there's some really fascinating stuff, and now I'm thinking about like Foucault, and I think a lot of that intersects, actually. So
Yeah. I mean, multimedia is a whole spectrum of different types of media. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So
and there's so many thinkers. I mean, Marshall McLuhan would also then be considered a multimedia thinker, right? Because the medium is the message.
Yeah.
So all of those things.
That's
I think
true.
that there's a lot. I think there's a
Yeah.
lot in there.
No, it's beautiful that everything kind of comes together at some point and crossroad. You know?
I think it does, yeah. Yeah, I'm going to go ask Dr. Demetrius where to put math in there.
So you guys, we're going to take a quick intermission, and we'll be right back.
Oh, yes, we have to sell you something. Yasmin has told us to sell you things. I don't know what that means. Okay. All right.
Oh my God, I love that.
Okay.
Hello everyone, my name is Karina, and today on Common Hour we're going to be giving a little shout out to Global Gear Bahrain, which is a student-founded clothing brand. They're actually launching a new collection on December 1st, so you can pre-order that from now and have a look at all of their new stuff on their website. So our quote of the day is knowledge is power. Good afternoon, good evening, and in case it's late where you're watching, good night.
Sorry, start.
Welcome back, guys. So the next question I have for you is: do you believe fate can coexist with free will?
Oh, it's like a small question, really. Tiny. Wait, Yasmina's going to be like, be closer to the mic. Be closer, Miss Zofin. Why can't you understand me when I tell you things? Okay. So, Tamara, as we said, this is a philosophical question, sociological. I'm going to take a stab at it, I guess.
Okay.
I guess I would start with, it's sort of like a question as old as time, is there, like, how do you even begin to think about it? When you think of fate and free will, you think about fatalism. And fatalism is the idea that if everything is fated, and if there's no way for me to change the end point, then what is the point? And it's kind of dangerous, right? Because you can end up doing nothing, and you don't want that. And then there have been thinkers. So St. Augustine in the 4th century, I believe, he wrote about God is good, and free will is necessarily better than not having free will. So we must have free will. And so by that logic, then whatever bad happens in the world is our fault, right? I sort of, there have been a lot of philosophers, some Muslim philosophers, even later on, and I like this take on it, I think, that there is a sort of, it is possible to have both in the same world. And the way that works is you can't fly. So there is laws of nature. They're fated, right? I can't make something happen that is not possible. But within the laws that we have of nature, which are fated, there is a certain amount of free will that I have to make decisions. It's sort of a limited free will. But I think that it makes sense because I can't be Superman as much as I would want to, or something. And when you start really looking at our world anyway, to bring it back to sociology, then you see that so many things in our experience, in our day-to-day experience, are sort of limited free will anyway. Because the circumstances of where you're born and who you are and what gender you are and what race you are and all of these things, they limit the choices. It's not like you have every single choice in the world. It's that based on what you do, you have choices. So based on where you're born, and then based on how you're raised, and then based on what you do. So in a sense, we're always living in a mix of fates and free will.
I get that.
What do you? Is that a sort of beginning of an answer to your question? I'm not sure.
Your part?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I just. I guess then for me, when I think about it, I like to think that as a Muslim, of course, that things are written.
Things are written.
You know what I mean?
And that is exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's a mix.
Yeah, but when it comes to free will, I don't know where to point in that category of free will. You know what I mean? Obviously, as you said, there are laws of nature when it comes to free will, so I can't fly, unfortunately.
Yeah. Control the weather.
Yeah, if only, we were all witches and warlocks, maybe.
Right. I think that's not a bad way to look at it, though.
No.
Because you don't end up in fatalism, and you don't want to.
Yeah.
You want to make choices.
Yeah, but I think
even if the end is predetermined.
For sure. I think also a lot of people kind of get lost in the fact where they think oh, if it's already meant for me, then it's gonna come. But you have to put in that work. So when it comes to fate, let's say, it's that door opened for you. You know what I mean? Okay, I was talking to my friend and I was like, if something is meant for you, certain doors will open for you, right? But your work that you put in opens up other doors that will like end up being your endpoint of what you want. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So like, let's say for me with my music, ever since I was a kid, I dreamed of it, but it's not a golden door that opens up for everyone. You know what I mean? And then when I had the opportunity here in uni to make a music video, and I did, it was like that door opened and so many other doors opened, and that path became something.
Right.
But that end point is there. You know what I mean?
I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
But you have to put the work in.
Yeah. The work is so important.
You're not going to be able to sit on the couch for the rest of your life and things just come to you.
Yeah. I think a lot of people do think that way sometimes, that aren't educated in certain aspects of fate and free will.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But it isn't. But work can be fate.
Yeah, definitely.
And maybe should be.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would agree with that. And I think, and again, nothing that I said is a new thought. They're generally not new thoughts under the sun.
Yeah,
I mean, these are, people have been contemplating that for, thousands of years, right? So I think that the idea that something is fated, I think that knowing that there is an endpoint doesn't mean that you don't have to work to get there, because even if things are fated, you have to work to get there, because you don't know what is coming.
Yeah. Even like when you manifest something, you have to put in the work as you're manifesting it.
Of course.
You know what I mean? A lot of people like would make a vision board and just leave it and think that,
that it was the vision board that would do it.
Yeah, you could say that.
But the vision board is not animated.
You know what I mean, though?
It doesn't have agency.
It's kind of like, these are my goals. How will I work to get them? Yeah. That's not how everybody views them.
I think that, you're at the right place and age to be doing this now.
Yeah.
And it's magical for you guys.
Oh, for
that
sure.
We have. First of all, there are a lot of things on campus, but also everything is possible in a world that is slowly shrinking in terms of connection.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I guess I would say it's fated, but just go get the fate that you want. Because that's
that.
right.
Yeah, get it.
Go get it. Go get that fate.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. Is that gonna need to be cut? Yes, ma'am. Oh Lord.
No.
Okay.
Why would it?
I don't know. I'm worried now. But anyway. Okay.
So the last question I have for you is, what's something really interesting you'd like to share with?
Oh God. I have no idea. Honestly. I don't even know what that means. There are so many things that are interesting. Where I had my last really good sandwich, I don't know what's really interesting here. Like
something to do with, obviously, like sociology, like something that you have learned that you would like to share with the audience that you think would help us or them. Or
oh God, I don't want to ruin your young times.
Read The Alchemist. You hate that book.
It's just. What's the word? It just feels really like rudimentary sometimes. I guess I would say that really interesting, or something that I've learned. I think recently I've been putting a lot more work into feeling real gratitude for everything that I have, and I know everybody says this now, right? We live in this world, but
to be grateful,
but like really grateful.
Yeah, you have
to. And something that I think is really hard to do, but is it is so important, or I've found it so important, is that I know a lot less than I want to know. And I'm always going to know a lot less than I want to know. And I love to have that ability now to say I don't know. And I think when I was younger, I would go through moments where I didn't want to say it. You want to feel like you know.
Yeah.
And now I like that I don't know. I love not knowing. I love, be curious. I guess that's my takeaway. It's be as curious as you want to for as long as you want. Because you get this one life, and if you say you don't know, you can be super curious. And it's really nice.
Mm-hmm.
It's so nice to keep that going, like just to never stop learning. And again, I'm blessed that I'm around students all the time. I feel like I never have to.
Yeah.
And then the other thing would be just, for me as well, the other thing that I learned was to say I'm sorry. Like really to say I'm sorry and mean it to the people who matter most. I think it's really easy to take that for granted.
For sure.
And that's probably not really interesting, and I'm sorry about that.
No, that's something that a lot of us lack is I don't know if it's empathy, but like I feel like everyone's just in their own bubble a lot, where we forget that apologies and gratitude, being grateful for each other and even like apologetic, when we need to be real about it, is hard sometimes, especially if you're stubborn.
Yes, and I am a very stubborn person.
Yeah.
But it has really made my life a million times better,
Yeah. It gets easier with time.
Yes, as you get older, you mellow out. I'm not going to tell you my age, Karina, but you really mellow out. But it's also okay to sort of love the ability to not know and to say that you don't know and say that you want to keep learning.
Yeah.
And there's something so innately fascinating about our world.
Yeah.
Human beings are endlessly fascinating. We make decisions, we choose things, we change our minds, we backtrack, we don't backtrack, we go forward, we go back, there's progress, we think it affects us, we don't think it affects us. It's everything, all the time. And if you were willing, I think, to really be fascinated by it and not judge it, then it's a really beautiful place to be, this earth,
Mm-hmm.
And maybe do it before the cult of personality guys all send us to Mars and we take our problems there. Like, stay here and do it here. Yeah, I guess that's what I would say.
Okay.
For me.
Yeah. I love
I'd like
that.
to share.
I like that. All right.
Yeah.
And also tell people you love them often.
Tell people you love them all the time. There's nothing wrong with the words. You
Yeah.
can tell your friends. You can tell your cats. Yasmin, your 5 cats. Yeah, you can tell people you love them often. And more than telling people, maybe show them.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think and spend time with your parents.
Yeah. Oh my God, yes. Please spend time with your family. It's so important. I think growing up as a kid, I didn't do it often.
Mm-hmm.
And like when like my grandma passed, like I was like, I wish I spent more time with her, But we live and we learn, I guess,
We live and we learn, and so now we have reached the sentimental soapy part of the podcast, I suppose.
The cringy part, you mean?
It's not cringy.
No, I'm kidding.
Is it cringy?
No, I love love and I love gratitude, and
I really hope it's not
I
cringy.
No, not at all.
It is sentimental.
Yeah, I love this. I love that.
And I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
I
I'm
didn't
okay
e-
with being emotional. It's
Yeah.
okay. I am often. It's terrifying. I might not seem that way in class, but I am. Really. Did I seem that way in class?
No.
Really?
Yeah, you put on a good like professor persona when you're,
Thanks.
Yeah.
Is that not what I'm doing now? I have to leave right now.
No, you are. Of course you are.
Yeah, I think I've really been doing a lot of. I think also, that when I start the study of the sociology of emotions,
Yeah.
just learning more about my emotions and the things that are really important
Mm-hmm.
to me.
Yeah.
And that doesn't have to be the same thing that's important to someone else, but that's been a really interesting trajectory
Yeah.
of knowledge. So,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Well, I guess that's it.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, yeah, that's right. It wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be.
I'm glad. I'm glad. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please like, share, and comment, and subscribe, and do all of the above, and follow us on TikTok and Instagram. And
Not me. I don't have social media. Don't follow me.
And yeah, be sure to stay tuned for our next episodes. Bye.
Okay. Was that okay?